Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Q&A session for Rapid Ext JS. My name is Marc Gusmano. I'm a sales engineer at Sencha. And what I have up on the screen now is the last Rapid Ext JS webinar slide deck that we did. Just so we have something to use as kind of an intro context. But the primary purpose of this webinar is to allow you to ask any questions you may have. We have a handful that we've already gathered, which we will also answer. So as I am doing my high-level intro, feel free to add any question you have to the GoToWebinar question section, and we will go through them in the order that we get them. I will also note that this webinar will be recorded and available shortly hereafter. So as I said, I don't want to go through the complete presentation that I did about a month ago, but what I did want to do is just highlight a few things just in case this might be your first time seeing Rapid Ext JS or you just need a little refresher. So we'll talk a little bit about what the product is, how it compares to the Sencha Architect product, which is also a tool that allows you to do visual drag and drop applications, and then just give you a little bit of context to get started. So Rapid Ext JS is our newest Visual Studio Code extension, specifically for the Visual Studio Code environment. And it allows you to build Ext.js applications visually. It allows you to pick from a palette of components, drag and drop them onto your view in development mode, and also allows you to interact with that view at design time. There is documentation available on the docs.sencha.com site under Rapid Ext JS. We've got several videos. We've got an intro video. As I said, the previous webinar is a good source of information. We've got a few other things that are out there. So that's really where we are from what the product is. A lot of people think about Sencha Architect when they see Rapid Ext JS, because Sencha Architect, which is a product that has been around for a little while, is also a visual drag and drop editor. Probably the biggest difference, there's probably two big differences. The biggest difference is that when we built Rapid Ext JS, we were very aware of one of the challenges to Sencha Architect, which is that it uses metadata to keep track of what you're doing. So if you ever leave Sencha Architect and then come back in after editing the file outside of Sencha Architect, you would have problems. Rapid Ext JS does not have that metadata issue. We are building it cognizant that you may want to pull this application out and not use Rapid Ext JS or edit with some other environment. And so the version 1 product from the get-go does not require metadata. We also decided to take advantage of VS Code, which is the most popular editor environment out there. It's a open source free tool available on all platforms. We do have another VS Code extension for Ext JS. We call it a plugin. And the two extensions, Rapid Ext JS and that plugin, can work together. The previous extension did not have any visual capabilities, so that's what Rapid Ext JS does. It has the visual capabilities of drag and drop to your development environment. Under the covers, Rapid Ext JS uses an NPM package called XGen, which is a tool we built to front-end the capabilities of Sencha Command, our command line tool, to be able to build, test, develop, build for production. So under the covers, XGen is being used, and you can use XGen on the command line to complement Rapid Ext JS if you want. So think of Rapid Ext JS as a version of the product that is over time going to have more and more functionality of Sencha Architect. So that's really what the product is. You are able to get a trial. Simply go to the Sencha.com website and click on Rapid Ext JS, fill out a form, and you will have a trial available to you. You will then get a welcome email, which gives you further instructions on how to install Rapid Ext JS. And the installation is a pretty straightforward thing. In Visual Studio Code, there's an extensions tab and a menu to install from a file with a .vsix extension, which is the extension type for Visual Studio Code extensions. And we also in the docs.sencha.com have a complete step-by-step of installing the product. Once the product is installed, you'll have it added to your list of extensions. And then using the product, I don't know if you notice on the up lower left-hand corner, there's a new ExtJS app button that gets put into the status bar on the bottom. You click on it, it'll ask you to log in with your support credentials or log in as a trial user. It'll then give you the ability to create a new ExtJS project, filling out this form. And once you create that project, it'll run all the builds, all the NPM necessary prerequisites, and you are then able to use the Rapid Ext JS project on your ExtJS application. One last thing I will mention here is that there are a list of features that are documented within docs.sencha.com. There's the link on the bottom there. And again, if you want to see a demonstration of most of these features, please refer to the last webinar that I did. It is recorded and should give you what you need. So with that, I am going to pull down to our Q&A page here and send it back to the team to go through some of the questions that you have and go ahead and answer those. I may need some follow-up if I need some clarification. One more time, if you do have a question and you want to add it to the list of questions, please go to the GoToWebinar panel, to the questions tab, and go ahead and type in that question. All right, with that, why don't we go ahead and begin with the questions that we have.
All right, thanks, Mark. My name is Raj. I'm Marketing Manager at Sencha. Let's move on to Q&A session. All right, if you have any questions, please type them into the chat and we will address as many we can today. The whole reason we set up this session just to answer any questions you guys have, right? So please feel free to add them here. All right, let's get started. We have some good, great questions here. The first question, what does XJS version does Rapid support?
Which, could you just repeat that again?
What ExtJS versions does Rapid support?
Which ExtJS versions does it support? Yes, yeah. Rapid Ext JS supports the 7X versions all the way through the latest version of ExtJS, which is version 7.8. Any of those can be used with your build. We do obviously recommend if you're building a new project to use the latest and greatest, which is 7.8. There are some prerequisites for the backend Java version that you have or the backend version of Node that you have. So depending on what you have installed in the list of what version you can pick, you may be limited by what Rapid Ext JS detects is the versions of Java and Node. For example, I was running and only had version 7.8 because I have the latest version of Node and the latest version of Java. If you do want to use a previous version, you just have to make sure that the version that you're using of Java and Node syncs up with the version required for the Ext JS environment. So 7X is basically the answer.
Okay, perfect. So the next question, have you ever considered simply removing metadata dependency for Sencha Architect?
Certainly that has been a consideration. Metadata is so ingrained into the Sencha Architect product. Plus, the Sencha Architect product has been around a long time. There have been great advances with editors like Visual Studio Code. In the Sencha Architect environment, we had to build our own editor. We've had a lot of requests to detach and decouple that. So we made the decision to move in a more modern path, which we believe is Visual Studio Code. And so that is what we're going to do moving forward. Probably someone might be thinking of the question, well, what happens to Sencha Architect? Sencha Architect will continue to be supported and enhanced and brought forward. It will continue to have the metadata governing how it works. And all the advances that we build into Rapid Ext JS will certainly be based on the spirit of what's in Sencha Architect. So that's kind of that is the strategy moving forward.
All right, that's great. Thank you. So very important question for sure for many XJS developers out there, how to import XJS project into Rapid.
Yeah, to import an EXTJS project, there actually is an import button on the Rapid EXTJS user interface. Depending on what your current EXTJS project is built with, you ultimately have to get your EXTJS project to be a project that is built using XGen. Remember, I mentioned XGen is our NPM-based tool. So there may be a conversion that has to happen. Let's say you've built your application with Sencha command. Great. We have a migrate pattern. That Sencha command-based application will migrate to XGen. And XGen, again, is just a higher level NPM-based environment on top of Sencha command. So all the functionality that you would have with Sencha command still exists. If you built your XJS application without our tooling, you may need to copy files into a project. I think the best way to use Rapid Ext JS, if you haven't used Sencha command or XGen, is to create a new project. We have a set of templates, including a blank template within Rapid Ext JS. I would create the project and then copy the artifacts, the files, the JavaScript files, etc., into that project, and then you're off and running with Rapid Ext JS. Once you have those files there, clicking on any particular JavaScript file that is an EXTJS file will bring up the visual editing environment of Rapid Ext JS. And if I didn't cover maybe a use case that you feel you have, feel free to email me and we can chat further.
All right, so we have a follow-up question to that. Are there any detailed documentation on the file structure created when setting up a new Rapid project or setting up a new or imported Rapid project?
Yeah, the documentation would be the documentation or the structure that is created by XGen. So Rapid Ext JS does not introduce any new structures or any new ways to build an application. And maybe what I should do here, because I may be saying XGen and people may be saying, what the heck is that? Let me just really quickly bring up, see if I can find it real quickly here. All right, I'm just off screen here, but I will bring it up in just a second here, just as soon as I find it, if I find it. But here we go. So when I say XGen, what I'm referring to is this. This is a page in the public NPM package repository. And as you can see here, the name of this is @sencha/xgen. So this actually could be downloaded independent if you wanted to, but this will generate an EXTJS application with a certain structure, and that structure is governed by Sencha command. So under the covers for XGen, you're really using Sencha command, and Sencha command is very well documented. There are a lot of places where you can go in our Sencha command documentation. Everything is governed by an app.json file. Again, that's all documented. So to really understand the structure is probably to go down to the Sencha command level, because that's actually what's creating the structure. And if you need some pointers or more details on how to find that, I'd be happy to help you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. So we have a couple of more questions around Sencha Architect. Is Rapid is going to replace the Architect tool?
It's a little premature to say it's going to replace it. It certainly has the same spirit and the same intention to provide visual editing for EXTJS applications. But as I mentioned before, Sencha Architect, which is a full-featured project that has been around for a while, that has had a lot of functionality built into it, is not going away. So there are no plans except plans to continue to enhance and make Sencha Architect available as we release new versions. The long-term vision, given these both work kind of in the same framework of visually generating projects, the long-term vision is to build more and more functionality that is in Sencha Architect into Rapid Ext JS over time. Another related question, because I've gotten this question before, is Visual Studio Code the exclusive and only place where Rapid Ext JS is going to be built? For example, is it going to be built into IntelliJ or Eclipse or any other editor? There are no overt plans right now to have that functionality exist in other IDEs. Certainly that would be a direction we would go. But first, we want to make sure we continue to build up the capabilities of Rapid Ext JS in the Visual Studio Code environment. And as I mentioned before, Visual Studio Code is freely available, is open source. It's my primary editor. I think it's a great product. It has a lot of extensions. The extension marketplace is amazing in Visual Studio Code. So you can actually enhance Rapid Ext JS by having other extensions that do other things. It's really very, very much an environment of extensions. So we think it's a perfect place to build a modern tool.
Awesome. Thank you for detailed diving. So the next question we have, which is very closely related to Architect again, how to open a project from Architect as an existing project in Rapid? Is there some manual migration required beforehand?
Again, Architect, going back to that product, Architect is an environment that also uses Sencha command, but it also has the metadata requirement. So if you're going to go from an Architect project to a Rapid Ext JS project, you are making the decision that moving forward, you're not going to be able to keep the metadata up to par. So yes, you can move your Architect application into Rapid Ext JS, but then that is a forward move, meaning you can't start editing in Rapid Ext JS and then say, oh, I want to take that project back into Architect. It won't work because the metadata will not be up to date. But yes, the documentation does have a discussion of what you need to do to move things into Rapid Ext JS. And again, under the covers, Rapid Ext JS is just a project built with our XGen tool. So if you think of it that way, you've been able to do that for a while.
Great. The next question we have here, does the Rapid extension work with view models and data binding?
Well, there is nothing that you can't do. Rapid Ext JS is not a separate environment. It is not an environment that needs to have data binding brought into it. Everything that you can do in Ext JS, you can do in Rapid Ext JS. If the essence of the question is there visual support for those things in Rapid Ext JS? Not in this version. So data binding and maybe the visual data editor that some people use in Sencha Architect is certainly a capability that can be brought forward into Rapid Ext JS. But this first version focuses on the visual drag and drop of components onto a view. So over time, more and more other visual things will be added. And everything is under the covers doable because we're using the tool set that you use to build, if you build a command line application with either XGen or Sencha Command, all those functionalities are there. As a matter of fact, in Rapid Ext JS, if you want to use Sencha Command, you could. There's no reason you can't. Or you want to use the XGen command line utility. What we wanted to do, though, is bring more and more convenience capabilities into a visual environment. So that's the preferred way to do it, but there's nothing that says you can't, fall back onto the tools that are the foundation of Rapid Ext JS.
Great, thank you. The next question we have, this is very close to performance. When we tried Rapid, we noticed that CPU usage was very high in designer view. It's about 300% CPU. Are there any info and like what is the plans for optimization for that?
My recommendation would be if you are finding some things that you can give us feedback on. Certainly performance is something we want to take care of. If you are a support customer, that is an appropriate thing to put into the support portal. If you aren't, or if you need a different way to send some specifics to us, I always offer myself. You can email me those details, and we will continue to enhance. It would be great to have some concrete use cases to be able to present to the engineering team, though.
Okay, great, thank you. The question with regards to toolkit or Rapid is designated to either modern or classic toolkit.
Yeah, Rapid Ext JS supports both the modern and the classic toolkit. When you create a new project, I go back over to the screenshot I have, and it's a little small, but let me make it a little bigger. You'll notice here that toolkit is one of the things you can pick, and it's a drop down, and it has classic and modern in it. So yes, both toolkits are supported. All of the themes per the toolkit are supported. I also mentioned templates. So there are specific templates or starter projects that are specific to either the classic or the modern toolkit. And then 7X for the XGen version. So yeah, when you create your project, these are all of the different things you can select. And of course, toolkit, the one question that was asked.
All right, great. Will there any feature availability of Rapid Ext JS in IntelliJ?
No, as I mentioned earlier, right now we are focusing on features and capabilities within Visual Studio Code. Certainly we have committed to those other editors like IntelliJ with our other plugin, with our other Visual Studio Code extension. So there is an IntelliJ version of that. So certainly that's a future thing that we would consider, but at the moment, since this is a version 1.0 product, we have plenty of additional features we want to add, and we're going to focus on Visual Studio Code for the foreseeable future.
All right, that's great. So we have one last question for the day with regards to Pro and Enterprise editions, or what is the difference between Pro and Enterprise editions for Rapid? Like, are there any difference in features or anything that can, differentiate between them?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Rapid Ext JS is available with an enterprise subscription. The reason that there are logins for professional and trial when you use Rapid Ext JS is to allow you to utilize the features and see if it's something that you would like to use. But to use Rapid Ext JS in a licensed version, it is available with the Enterprise Edition.
Awesome. All right, so that wraps up our, let me just to check again if any more questions. Seems to be no. I think that wraps up our presentation for today.
All right, great. Well, as I said, as you explore Rapid Ext JS, if you have any questions or would like to spend a little time just discussing further, please refer to my email address. Easiest way to get a hold of me. I'd be happy to discuss whatever. If you have ideas, or as we mentioned earlier, if you have some feedback for performance or anything else, please let us know. And we will look forward to further discussing the product if it makes sense with you.
Great. Thank you for joining us and for your time. We hope you found it valuable and informative. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.